inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, Auguste Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Hey, guess what it's time to do? It's time to put it all down on the line. How many of you have heard that expression? It is becoming one of my most hated expressions, especially in the coaching arena, okay? I'm getting so sick and tired of hearing that, and if you're willing to invest in yourself and all of these different things and showing the universe that you're ready. Listen, I'm a coach and I like to see people put it on the line for their dream. But let's have a real conversation about some inflated terminology that's out there that has some of you damn near going bankrupt for your dream. I'm telling you that you don't do that unless you know that you are supposed to do that. What happens with a lot of us is we don't understand that we're not tapping into our own power, that we haven't received our own visions, and we don't have our own direction. I am the kind of person who, even though I'm very intuitive and I have a high level of discernment, I've made some very, very naive decisions in my business. And I tell people all the time that the only thing that you need is a very excited, naive entrepreneur, and it is the equivalent of taking some kind of heavy hallucinogen like PCP. An entrepreneur that is super duper stoked about their business but doesn't know what in the world to do and is naive about certain things like the online arena. If you listen to the wrong person, you will be willing to jump off of a building for your business. And I believe in real talk. That's what people know me for. I'm raw and I'm real, and I'm not going to give you advice that you shouldn't receive. A lot of you listen to these coaches and they'll tell you that they only had $20 in the bank once they finished making a purchase. And then they'll tell you that their whole life story, everything turned around and their business grew. And what you end up doing is you end up being in a very, a spiritual frenzy saying, is that all that it is? Maybe the reason why I'm not able to get to the next level is because my mindset is off. And when you think about the law of attraction, I am attracting lack into my life because I'm not believing that those funds are going to be replenished, and I just need to do this. And a lot of you jump off the building and you fall flat into bankruptcy. You fall flat into, I had to stop working my business and go back and get another job because I didn't know how my rent was going to get paid. You fall flat into going back to live with your mom because if you don't, your kids are not going to eat. These are the kind of things that are happening to entrepreneurs all the time, every single day, because they're listening to a speaker that is extremely charismatic, very intentional with their sales process, and they are sucking you guys in and sucking you dry. I happen to love the sales process, and I think it's one of the most beautiful things in the world that was ever invented. And for those of us that teach it and show you how to do it in the most cavalier fashion, are freaking geniuses. But some of these individuals are psychological gurus, and because the vast majority of people make purchases off of impulses, they are very, very good at pulling those heartstrings. So here is the reality. You don't make decisions like that unless you feel led to do them. You don't make, what you got to start learning to do is start believing something internally and then receiving external confirmation. And what has happened to a lot of you is that you hear something externally and then you process it internally and you say that you know that that's the way that you're supposed to go. And I want to use religion. I want to use Christianity for this one. This is something that I've seen in the church. I'm going to connect all of these dots. There are pastors that I've sat up under and they were prophetic. And a lot of times people were coming back and saying, oh my God, you know, Pastor so-and-so, you said X, Y, and Z, and it happened that way. And so what a lot of you do is you treat a prophetic pastor just like a psychic. You know, you say, oh my God, I wonder if he's the one. Oh my God, I wonder if I'll get that new job. Oh my God, I wonder if I should start this business. And I'm going to go get a word. That's what you call it. And whether you, and if for those of you that aren't religious, you call the psychic and you're like, hey, is this the one for me? And what you're waiting on is to get the answer that you want to hear, as opposed to the answer that you already know. Like, you know, the guy's a freaking flake and he's a cheater, but you're just really hoping that he'll change and be loyal. So you call the psychic and you're like, will we make it to next year? You know? Or here it is, you got this awesome business idea and you really want to move forward with it, but you know that there's some things that you don't have together. But maybe if you just take that move of faith, that those things will just miraculously pop up. And so you want to go talk to God and say, should I start this business? Even though deep down inside, you know, you're not ready yet. And what I've seen a lot of people do is they, you know, in a religious arena, and because they unfortunately get up under some very prideful people that take advantage of those situations, they go and they look for a word and they ask for a word and they get it. And then that's the motivation to move forward. That's not the way that it goes. You guys, we are spiritual beings. And I don't care what your spiritual path is. I'm not telling anybody how to know or reverence God. I'm not saying that you have to call him God versus calling him the universe. I'm not saying any of those things, but I'm saying that you have to know that you know when you're making a decision, because the evidence will be there to follow. So one of the most insane things that me and my husband did together is back in 2014. Out of nowhere, out the clear blue sky in April, it was like, we need to get out of St. Louis. And he was like, I agree. Well, how fast are we going to get out of St. Louis? Because we had to sell our home. We were like, we need to get out of St. Louis and we need to get out of here before August. Now, mind you, we're making the decision in the middle of April. We had to find a realtor. We had altogether 3,000 square foot of home that we have been living in for almost 4 years, for 3.5 years. So you can imagine how stuff had accumulated. And it was the first house that we had purchased together as a couple. You know, but we got it right after we got married. We got married October 17th of 2010. We walked into that home on December 1st of 2010. But here it is. When people heard it, it was like, oh my God, that's insane. How are you going to do that? The market isn't right. So on and so forth. We weren't relying on the external confirmations. Now, there were some people that were in my life that were like, Auguste, whenever you say you're going to do something, you do it. And you and Larry, you're like a power couple. And whenever you're doing something together, it works out. We did have people like that in our ear, but we had other people that didn't even say anything that was also letting us know that they didn't agree. But it was internal, not external. And you want to know what happened? On July 19th, we hit the highway. And on July 20th, we hit Texas soil. And from that point forward, for 3 years, we would end up living in Houston. That was a very radical decision. And we moved on it and we stood on it because we knew that that is what we were supposed to do. There was no wavering. We didn't care if people thought we were crazy. Therefore, we were all in. Before we even found a real estate agent, before we confirmed what the value of our house was and what we were going to sell it for, even though we pretty much had an idea because we stayed up on that stuff, we were already doing a moving sale to get the house empty and only keeping the essential things. Already went and got a storage unit to take the things that we didn't have to put in storage so that the house would be able to be, we were ready. So when the real estate agent connected with us, we were like, oh yeah, when you come back, the house will be empty. Whatever you want us to do, we'll do it because we are wanting this to move as expeditiously as possible. And whatever part we play in that, we're going to do that. That's the difference between that decision and the next decision I'm going to elaborate on. I had purchased this product online and it was $1,000. I was like, oh, I really need this product in order to really help me get my business to the next level. And, you know, I've talked about how you can go out and you can, you know, listen to YouTube videos and do different things or get group coaching and so on and so forth. And this was a program that also provided an atmosphere for a group and you could get feedback from one another. And I paid for this product. And one of the popular things that they do is they give you a free ticket to their live event. And I invested in a live event, which meant I was spending like almost another grand on the hotel and hundreds of dollars on a plane ticket and money on food. I went, and this woman from the stage just gave this very, very compelling offer. What I knew is that I wanted a business that was going to grow and expand. What I knew is that I'm a no holds barred, ready to go all in, get in dirt, do whatever it is that I got to do in order to build my business. What I didn't know was exactly what my business was. I had been saying that I was a life coach, author, and motivational speaker. But other than that, I really had no clue what I was doing. And I found myself being captivated by the language, the music, the experience, the opportunity. And I remember, you know, calling my husband and, you know, talking to him. And he was like, babe, whatever you want to do, I'm on board with it. And I remember after I slept on it, because we had until the next day to turn in the paperwork, I woke up with this feeling like, no, you know what? Because I'm reading over this contract and it's saying, can you afford the payments? And I'm like, this is a binding agreement. I really can't afford this, you know, but other people were saying that they made this agreement and by the next payment, you know, they had these sales. And I was like, oh, but if I just hop into this program and I get what I need to know, I'm going to get this client and I'm going to make all this money. And I don't care because all the money that I make, I'll invest back into this program and I'll just continue to do this other part-time hustle driving for Uber on the side because I'm going to build my empire. And before you know it, I'm going to be making all of this money. But everything that I was doing was based off of what was being externally pumped into me internally. I didn't go there with any expectations. I didn't go there with a particular desire. And what happened is I got sucked in. And I got sucked into that miracle territory level conversation that if you do this, you do that. And this woman only had $37 in her bank account, but she launched a program and made $300 and something thousand. I didn't listen. My ears weren't open. And I made that investment. And you want to know what? I was maxing out credit cards. I was doing all kind of stuff and I couldn't keep up with the payments. But you want to know what? I'm not a quitter though, right? I was like, hey, you know, I know that this is a legally binding agreement. I'm just emailing you guys. I'm letting you know I'm working on this. I've applied for another credit card. I'm doing this and I've taken on another side hustle and I'm going to be able to pay and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I honor this agreement. I didn't beg to get out of the agreement. I was like, an agreement is an agreement and I'm going to do it. It was a blessing that they actually told me they were going to remove me from the program. And also they let go. They let go of me having to pay. I was not binded to that. I was not bound to that agreement anymore. They let me go. They absolved the agreement. Auguste, don't worry about paying us. Go on with your life. Oh, deuces. And that would be one of the most difficult times that I would have to rebound from because my husband and I were sitting there looking at each other. We still didn't have a clue what we were doing. And I want you guys to know that I was in there beasting. Everything they said do. If they said go out and launch a webinar, I launched 3. If they said go out there and create a landing page, I created 2 versions. And then I was putting a post in there and saying, what do you guys think? Asking for feedback. I was making video commercial. Well, my husband did that. But we were just doing everything that you could think of. And we were being consistent and doing live videos on Facebook and reaching out on Instagram. And I mean, going to networking events, connecting with people, doing everything that we thought we could do to force the success to come upon me. And it didn't. It didn't. And I put it all on the line. The difference is the internal nudging versus the external nudging. Some of you are like, you know what? I'm just going to leave my job, because I've heard people left their job and then they had time to focus on their business and then it grew. Yeah, but that was the nudging that they had. If you didn't have that personal nudging already and you just heard that from someone else and you just happen to be pissed off about your job at the moment, then 9 times out of 10 is external and it's not internal. And when you walk away from that job, it's just a matter of time before you have to go find another job in order to supplement that income. When you make that level of decision, it has to be something that you can stand on because you know that it's something that you will do. And the universe is always faithful. God is always faithful. He will provide you everything that you need in order for you to be able to stay the course of that decision. May it possibly be uncomfortable? Yes. May there be some sacrifices that have to be made? Yes. But you can and you will do it, and you will not only persevere, but you will actually see results. You will actually see results and continue to progress and move forward and move upward as you go. The question is, that nudging that you feel to make a decision, before you put it all on the line and give up every dime that you have, all in the name of proving to the universe that you're ready, is that something that was there internally, or was that put into you externally? You are to define the desires of your heart. The inclination begins within. The confirmation comes from without. If it comes from without and has to go in, then it's being processed and you're being programmed. That's the difference. I want you guys to really pay attention to the kind of decisions that you're making, especially if you have children or a spouse that's involved that may have to carry the heavy load of your decisions. Before you take all of your money and put it on the line, make sure you're making a decision that you can stand on through the good and the bad, that you have received internally first, and then receive all of the external blessings that'll follow behind that. Definitely a segment that I will just leave right there, because this is one you should go and have a moment with yourself with. I pray that the timing of everyone that hears this episode is right on point, and it keeps you from making the wrong decision, and it impresses upon your spirit with even more proof positive so that you make the right decisions. Always a pleasure to be with you guys. I love you. Until the next segment, I'll be back. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless, signing out. Deuces!
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in